He wants to know about recovery techniques. I'm not a huge fan of a lot of different recovery techniques, but some of the things I'll share with you. You mentioned jumping into an ice bath. I think it's stupid. Contrast showers, I think those are dumb. I just think they're too extreme, they're too weird, they're too awkward, and the literature and the science behind them are not very good, in my opinion, from the things that I have heard. Maybe you guys have heard differently, but I have never really heard anything all that great. On that same note, if it feels good up here, then keep doing it. If you like what you're doing, if you're doing ice baths and you like them, then keep doing them, because there's nothing stronger than this. There's nothing stronger than what's inside that noggin of yours. There's not a whole lot up here, but there may be something in your head. Foam rolling, not a big fan. I don't think it does a whole lot for you. I'm sweating because I had to turn my AC off because it makes a lot of noise when I'm recording these things. Foam rolling, I mean, just think about it. The guy's on the ground, rolling on a piece of styrofoam. Give me a break. You really think that's going to do a whole lot for you? No, not really. It may work out a kink or two, but come on. It's not really going to do a ton for you. Not a fan of foam rolling. Too weak. Stretching, no. Extra workouts, possibly. Extra workouts can be pretty good. Light cardio, I'm a fan of hopping on an elliptical machine or walking on a treadmill a little bit. Getting some movement is going to be more beneficial to you than anything else. Traditional stretching, I'm not a fan of. Some type of mobility work, though. Some sort of dynamic routine, dynamic warm-up routine of some sort may be beneficial in your recovery. Sled work can be beneficial. I'm actually a huge fan of sled work. I'll actually sometimes pull the sled fairly heavy after a heavy training day. But I don't really get sore necessarily, and I think the reason why I don't get sore is because my training is planned out smart. I'm not doing stupid things in my training to make myself sore. And a lot of the other guys at ST follow a similar principle. There's some things, you just got to have to use common sense sometimes. How many exercises can your lower back handle in one workout? The answer is probably like 1 or 2. If you go at it real hard, really just 1. If you do a conventional deficit deadlift for a max set of 3 against some chains or some bands, is there really any point in doing good mornings afterwards? I can't think of any good reason to do them. However, you could switch to something more moderate, more mild, something like a reverse hyperextension machine, something like that, or non-weighted movement, band good mornings or something along those lines, just to get some blood flow and just to work the lower back rather than to stress the lower back. There's other things like that we do at ST sometimes. It's a risk to benefit ratio. You have to kind of weigh that out. That's going to be the key in your recovery ability. The key to recovery is not any fancy techniques. It's not steroids. It's not growth hormone. It's your program, the current program that you're doing. You should, if you're trying to get stronger, you should not be really sore. I'll say it again. If you're trying to get stronger, if that's the main focus, then you should not be getting sore. If you want to bodybuild, you want to be a pro bodybuilder, you want to be big, you want to be jacked, and you want to look pretty gnarly, then you're going to be sore. And the chances are you're probably going to be very sore. If you want to be an Olympic level collegiate style wrestler, chances of you being sore are through the roof. You're going to be really sore because you're going to be running hills, you're going to be wrestling, you're going to be weight training, you're going to work technique, you can do all kinds of shit. Those are the dudes that need to worry about their central nervous system. I know I get off on this topic all the time because it frustrates me, but those are the guys that got to worry about going into workouts already being sore. Those are the guys that got to worry about their quote-unquote CNS being fried. I like to fry my CNS in coconut oil, by the way. The MCTs seem to be a little bit healthier. But, it just always drives me nuts because powerlifting is what we do. We lift weights. We're not asked to do anything else. We're not playing any other sport. We're not running or jumping or doing anything like that. So we really shouldn't be too taxed. We should be planning our training out effectively and efficiently enough to the point where we don't have to use the excuse, my CNS is fried. We don't have to say things like that. Anyway, I'm off on that rant. Somebody else had another question about, training sore, which kind of runs along the lines of this. Use your head. If your quads are really sore and you're coming into a workout, then use your head and don't squat again. Choose a different exercise. Choose something else. Maybe just drag the sled for that particular day. I actually talked to a high-level throwing coach out here in Northern California yesterday, and he said he'd have a kid come in, a young kid's like 19 years old, who's throwing the shot, won the states in the shot put, and he told the kid on certain days the kid would come in and the coach would say, "Hey man, you're moving like crap today, man. What's going on?" And the kid would say, "Oh well, I played a pickup game of basketball over here, and I did this, I did that." You're going to run into those problems with young athletes. They're going to do things like that. And the coach would say, "Hey, you want to play basketball or you want to throw the shot put? I mean, what the hell are you doing?" The kid said, "Hey, I like to stay active. I like to stay in shape. I don't like to get fat." And the kid only weighs 200 pounds, which is kind of amazing. The fact that he can chuck the, he won discus. The fact that he can chuck the discus so far is pretty amazing. But you're going to run into those kinds of things with kids like that, and you're going to have to let them do it a little bit because otherwise they're going to fight you. They're gonna want to fight you on that kind of stuff. But what he would say to the kid is, "Go home." The kid would say, "What?" The kid's like, "No, I came here to train, coach." He'd say, "I'm sorry, today's not your day. You're not gonna lift today. You need to go home." The kid would come back the next day, and the kid would be right back to it again. The kid would be fresh. He'd be ready to go, and he'd be ready to set some PRs for the day. So if you're going in the gym, you're feeling like shit, the only way to always walk away with a PR is to try something that you've never done before. Say, okay, well, I'm going to do a deficit deadlift off of 3 mats and use 2 chains and work up to a max single. If you've never done it before, guess what? It's a PR. It's a personal record for you. It's a personal best. Take that and get the hell out of the gym. If you're really sore, you got to use your head. If your lower back is really sore, that's a tough one to sometimes deal with. If your lower back is super tight, odds of you hurting your lower back when it's already sore are high. The risk to benefit ratio is not good. You're going to have to weigh those things out. For me, myself, on Thursday, when I go in and bench, I don't do dumbbell work afterwards, and the reason why is because on Saturdays when I squat, and Saturday I like to use the straight bar a lot, and I cannot get underneath the straight bar very good. So how am I going to get underneath the straight bar any better if I do tons of reps with dumbbell work and make my chest real sore? I'll have that sore, dryness, tightness feeling through the shoulders, and I'll just squat like shit all day. My shoulders and everything else will be in so much pain. I hear guys talking about their shoulders and their elbows and things like that hurting all the time, and they're baffled. They're like, "I don't get it. I don't understand. Why does it hurt? It hurts when I go to use a straight bar." It's like, well, it's not the straight bar that's hurting you. It's not just the straight bar that's hurting you. A, it's your lack of mobility. But B, it's a lack of you using your damn head. You using your damn brain. You're making your muscles tight on other things. You're wearing yourself out on some other shit. And when you go to do your squats and you go to get in this position, you're all jacked up. The heavy deadlifting, the heavy benching, heavy rowing, all those heavy movements are going to start to cause some wear and tear. So if you walk into a workout and you're like, "Man, my elbows and shoulders are not feeling good. Man, I did a lot of benching the other day. I shouldn't have done that much benching because I knew I was going to squat today." What you need to do is you need to get a hold of a specialty bar. Get a hold of a safety squat bar, cambered bar, something that'll change the angle so your shoulder isn't so grizzled. Let's see. What else you got here? You talk about accumulation blocks and intensification and blah, blah. Really all that is preparatory phases. I don't even know if preparatory is a word, but if it's not, then I just made it up and I won an invisible balloon. It's basically, you're going to you need to prep yourself for the training that you're about to do. Again, this goes into the whole overtraining wheelhouse, the overtraining. People are always talking about, "I feel overtrained," and I always tell them you're undertrained. If I was going to train with Floyd Mayweather, would it be fair for me to say that I feel overtrained? You guys would say no. you're a big fat fuck, and Floyd Mayweather is kicking your ass in the workouts because you came in unprepared. That's not overtraining. That's being underprepared, in my opinion. I would say that there are cases of overtraining because there's people that sometimes do way too many exercises in a given workout. But even then, you should still be ready. You should still be able to handle kind of whatever you're going to do, especially if you're a power lifter or Olympic weightlifter. Anything involved in the gym, you should be able to handle. And if you can't handle your shit, then get out of the game. Because I don't want to hear you bitching and moaning, and I don't want to hear you complaining. Let's see, what the hell else? What do I do for recovery? I use a lot of supplements. I don't think supplements are absolutely necessary, but they are beneficial. They can make a little bit of a difference, and I'll take any difference I can get. Some simple supplements are always the best way to go. You don't need anything drastic. You don't need anything weird. A pre-workout drink is nice to get you fired up, get you ready to train. But you should also internally be fired up and excited about training as well. Post-workout drinks can be pretty effective, especially for those of you guys out there that are natural. That's, in my opinion, kind of the closest thing you can do to being on stuff, as some people would say. Let's see, what else we got? Multivitamins, not bad. Sleep, hydration. The list goes on and on. We could talk about recovery techniques forever. But one thing I think I do pretty well is I always stay hydrated. I got a thing of water with me right here. I always bring water around with me. This is an insulated canister. This thing rocks. And you see it there. This thing's awesome. It keeps the water cold. Here in Sacramento, it gets to be over 100 degrees a couple times a year. And I can keep this baby in my car for up to about 3 or 4 hours, and the water will still stay cool. It'll not be freezing cold, not be super cold as it was when I first put it in there, but it'll still remain very cold. Hydration, sleep. I don't do a good job of sleep. I don't sleep very well, as you can probably tell. I talk in my sleep. I talk all day. My mind is always kind of racing, and I have a hard time calming myself down, so sleep is not a strong point of mine, but I'm trying to get better at it. I go to bed a lot earlier than I used to. Setting a bedtime, as funny as that may sound, can be very beneficial. Let's see about some other recovery techniques I've heard. We're over 12 minutes here. We're really rocking on this one, but I think it's important. I know my boy Stan Efferding's a big fan of feeding himself constantly throughout the day, up to 8 to 10 times a day, to keep the nutrients in his body throughout the entire day. But also, he eats right before he goes to bed, and he eats in the middle of the night. That's kind of a recovery technique. He actually wakes himself up to eat. I wouldn't agree with that because I would think the sleep is more important than the food, but obviously it works for him. He's an ectomorph. He's got to do everything he can to keep that muscle mass on. Something that I do, I'll blend up a protein shake before bed. I'll drink about half of it, and I'll go to sleep. And at some point, I'll drink the other half of it. Somebody just almost crashed into me, and I'm not even moving. That's not good. Yeah, so I'll drink half it before bed, and I'll drink half it in the middle of the night sometimes. I have a sweet tooth. I like to kind of wake up and just, like a freaking raccoon, go through the garbage and just eat whatever looks good in there. So having that shake handy, having that shake ready, kind of prevents me from eating a bunch of peanut butter cups and shit like that. I think that's about it. I know a lot of you guys probably want me to talk about steroids, but I'm not gonna really go that route. I'll just say that I don't really think that they help a ton with recovery. I think what steroids can do is that over a period of time, there's kind of accumulation of you building strength and possibly recovering from the heavier weights that you're handling over a period of time. But talk to anybody that does them, and they're gonna tell you, unless they're older guy, unless it's for like